My friend Susan's mother, who is 85 and has a wit that could slice bread, has the most beautiful silver hair. But if you even suggest she get it cut short, she'll wave her hand and say, "Oh, no, dear. Then I'll look like an old lady." I think we all know what she means, don't we? It's a conversation that seems to come up quite a bit, especially for women over 60. There's this fear that a certain haircut will suddenly put us in a box we're not ready for. In our last chat, we talked about finding a lovely, modern bob. But I've heard from a few of you that once you got it home, it wasn't quite right. That instead of feeling chic, it felt a little wide, a little round. This brings me to my friend Margaret. She just got new glasses. Beautiful frames, very fashionable. She was so excited. But she called me a week later. She said, "I feel like these glasses are wearing me." She loved the cool, smooth feel of the new plastic when she put them on. But when she looked in the mirror, something was off. Her face, she said, just looked full, and her new haircut seemed to be making it worse. What her stylist eventually showed her is what we're going to talk about today. It's a bit of practical magic. We're going to discuss how to use volume strategically to slim around her face, especially for those of us who wear glasses. And we'll fix the most common mistake that quietly adds width right where we least want it. And stick with me until the end, because I'm going to share the one simple tool, it's probably already in your bathroom, that makes getting that perfect lift at the crown almost foolproof, especially on second day hair. If you believe, like I do, that style is simply a skill we can all learn with a bit of guidance, then I hope you'll subscribe and join our little community here. We have more practical things to talk about. Now, before we get into the how-to, we need to understand the why. It all comes down to a simple principle of optical balance that stylists know, and it's what was causing all the trouble for my friend Margaret with her brand new glasses. So, let's talk about that principle of optical balance. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. Think of it this way. A round face is, well, about as wide as it is tall. Our eye sees it as a circle. The goal, if you want to create an illusion of a slimmer, more oval shape, is simply to add a bit of length. That's why a good bob on a round face needs more than a nice cut, it needs smart shaping. We need to encourage the eye to travel up and down, not side to side. Now, think about your glasses. They create a strong horizontal line right across the middle of your face. My friend Margaret's new frames were a beautiful, bold shape. And her bob haircut also had its volume right at the sides, at cheek level. So, what she ended up with were two strong horizontal lines, the glasses and the haircut working against her. Together, they made her face look even wider than it was. What her stylist showed her was fascinating. By reducing the volume at the sides and focusing it entirely on the crown, they took away that competing horizontal line. Suddenly, her glasses looked chic, not heavy. Her face looked lifted. It was the same haircut, just styled with a different intention. That's the part that often surprises people. You don't always need a new cut, just a better plan. It makes me wonder, have you ever felt that your haircut and your glasses were somehow fighting each other? I would be genuinely interested to read your thoughts on that. It's not about fighting wrinkles or chasing youth. We're just directing the eye, that's all. It's a bit of simple geometry to create a sense of balance. And this desire for vertical lift is why the two most common mistakes we make can be so frustrating. We think we're adding volume, but we're just adding it in the wrong direction. Let's look at exactly what that wrong direction looks like. I suspect it will feel very familiar. We've all done it. We get a new volumizing product, we're full of hope, and we do this. Mistake number one, the all-over application. You get that cold, fizzy cloud of mousse, and you think, well, I want volume everywhere. So you work it all through your hair, root to tip, and especially on the sides, because that's where it feels flattest. But the problem is, it works. It creates volume everywhere, which means it creates that horizontal width we just decided we want to avoid. And for those of us with glasses and a rounder face shape, that width lands right where we don't want it at the sides. It makes the whole head of hair bigger, instead of just lifting it in one strategic place. More is not always more. Sometimes it's just more. And more volume at the sides? That just makes your face look wider. Then comes the second, and perhaps more common mistake. Mistake number 2, top-down drying. We're in a hurry, we just want to get our hair dry. So we aim the hairdryer from above and just blow. The force of that air, coming from that angle, is doing the exact opposite of what we want. It's plastering the roots flat against our scalp. No matter how good your bob haircut is, drying it this way will make it fall flat, especially at the crown. It completely cancels out any product you might have used and any hope you had for getting that nice, vertical lift. You're fighting a losing battle before you've even picked up a brush. So, if that's what we shouldn't do, how do we get that beautiful, targeted lift right at the crown without fuss? Well, that reminds me of a woman from my book club, Brenda, who said her lovely new bob felt flat as a pancake on top by noon. And that's a perfect description, isn't it? Flat as a pancake. Brenda felt so frustrated because she was using a good product, but by lunchtime, her hair had completely surrendered. The problem wasn't her hair or the product. It was that she hadn't given the roots a reason to stand up. So, this is how we give them a reason. And it brings me to the foolproof tool I mentioned. It's actually 2 things, and you likely have them both. This little piece of plastic, the nozzle, is probably the most important part of your hairdryer, and it's the first thing most of us toss in a drawer. Its job is to turn that wide roar of the hairdryer into a focused, controlled stream of air. It gives us precision. And that precision is what makes the difference between hair that collapses and a crown that lifts, especially on a rounder face, where even a small bit of height helps elongate the look. Here's the technique. First, you only need to work with this top section. This is where the lift will make all the difference. Apply just a little bit of your volumizing product, and only at the roots of this section. Now for the important part. Take your round brush and place it right at the base of your roots. You're going to pull this section of hair straight up, and then slightly forward, over your forehead, away from the direction it naturally wants to fall. You want to feel a gentle tension on the roots. Now, take your hairdryer with the nozzle on, and aim that warm, focused stream of air directly at the brush, right where it meets your scalp. You see, you have to teach the root where to stand. By drying it in the opposite direction, you're creating lift that will last. Let it cool for just a moment before you release it. And there it island. Not a huge, frizzy helmet of hair, but a gentle, flattering lift right where it will do the most good. It's subtle, but on a round face with glasses, that subtle lift is what keeps the look balanced instead of bulky. This lift at the crown is the most important part. But for those of us who wear glasses, there's one more crucial spot we need to address to avoid feeling, well, crowded. My friend Susan has these wonderful blue eyes, and she treated herself to a pair of beautiful new glasses with dark tortoiseshell frames. But she felt that they were overwhelming her face. The word she used was crowded. Her eyes, she said, just seemed to get lost behind all that style. The culprit wasn't the frames. It was her fringe, her bangs. They lay a little flat against her forehead, creating a heavy, solid line that sat right on top of her glasses. So what she had was one strong, horizontal line sitting on top of another fringe plus glasses, visually pressing down on her features. Especially with a rounder face, that kind of stacked visual weight can make everything feel heavier. So, here is the final, small detail that makes a world of difference. Once you have that nice lift at the crown, you want to create just a little bit of space right here, at the front. You can use the same round brush, or if your hair is fine, even just your fingers will do. All you're doing is giving them a gentle lift, a soft bend away from your face. It stops them from pressing down on the top of your glasses. It lets a bit of light in. It opens everything up. You see, suddenly, The glasses are a lovely accessory, not a barrier. Let your eyes be the focus, not the frames. Let the shape of your face show through, not be hidden behind layers. It's a tiny adjustment that takes 10 seconds, but it brings the whole look into harmony. It's these small, intentional details, isn't it? They add up. It's not about a dramatic overhaul, but about having the know-how to feel polished and put together. And that's really all there is to it. When you boil it down, all we've learned today is a simple way to direct the eye upwards from the crown, and a little space at the fringe to open things up. No magic, just a bit of practical knowledge. For me, this isn't really about hair, it's about alignment. I've come to believe that one of the great privileges of this chapter of life is the opportunity to finally align how we look on the outside with how we feel on the inside. It's a quiet sort of satisfaction seeing your reflection and feeling not a jolt of critique, but a simple nod of recognition. It's the feeling of things being in their right place. For so many years, we follow trends or do what we think we're supposed to. We try to fit into a certain box. But now, the goal isn't about fitting in. It's not about looking younger, either. It's about looking like yourself on purpose. That, I think, is a skill worth practicing. It's the difference between a house and a home. One is just a structure. The other is filled with intention and care. That's why sharing our experiences is so valuable. The little things we learn along the way become part of a larger, collective wisdom. It took me a long time to learn some of these things, and I'm sure you have your own discoveries. In the comments below, I'd love to know. What's one small styling trick you've learned, maybe with bangs, face shape, or glasses, that's made a difference for you? Let's share our hard-earned wisdom with each other. Speaking of small details that make a huge difference, that brings us to our next conversation. We found a great cut, and we've learned how to create volume and lift. But the smallest details, bangs and layers, can undo all that good work if they're not right for our face shape and our glasses. The wrong type of bangs can visually collide with your frames and throw off your whole look. Let's make sure that doesn't happen to you. In our next chat, we'll talk about which fringe styles open up your features and exactly where face framing layers should begin to truly flatter a rounder face. Thank you for spending a little time with me today. And remember, sometimes the most powerful change comes from lifting just 1 inch. Until next time.